Hi, my name is Naveen Ahmad. This is a research project I did for my Principles of Microeconomics class, and my topic was to go in depth regarding how green energy can impact the United States economy. I completed this project with the help of my microeconomics instructor, Kevin Haynes. So, to begin, green energy is one of the fastest growing, most innovative sectors of our economy today. Fossil fuel companies say that the demand for their products is growing and will do so for decades. But renewable energy companies and their advocates, however, believe that the economies of their technologies will prove to hold more advantage than continued reliance on commodity based energy. Clean energy is building a new American workforce. Clean energy jobs offer higher than average wages, create local economic benefits, and are widely available throughout the U.S. According to BLS, renewable energy jobs that include wind turbine service technicians and solar photovoltaic installers are the two fastest growing occupations in the U.S. from 2019 to 2029. Wind turbine technicians are projected to grow 61%, which is much faster than average, and solar photovoltaic installers are projected to grow 51%, which is also much faster than average. Their technologies are becoming more in demand among households, which is why more workers are needed and they're growing significantly. So the decline of the coal industry. Coal production in the U.S. has declined recently after a half-century growth, and employment in the coal industry has dropped for years, according to Stanford Institute for Economic Policy Research. Although over the past 60 years, output of coal doubled, 2009 marked the start of a moderate decline in output. This graph right up here is sourced from the EIA, and it shows the U.S. coal production since 1949, separating the west region of the Mississippi River and the east region of the Mississippi River. And the second graph right here shows employment for the coal industry, which you could see is steadily declining significantly. This graph shows the employment in coal mining in both east and west regions, and despite the great expansion in coal production over the past century, employment has steadily declined, with a few employment booms such as the first decade of this century and the decade of the 1970s. Coal is affected because cheap gas displaces coal in existing power systems. Cheap gas increases its incentives to finally retire from coal-fired plants from the 1940s and 50s. The decline of coal consumption. So the U.S. coal consumption fuel, which was 4% in 2018, is its lowest point in 39 years due to the accelerating coal plant disclosures and reduced coal plant utilization, according to Forbes in 2019. And this production downswing is not going away anytime soon. Even Wyoming's Powder River Basin, the country's largest coal-producing region, is facing this new reality. And because they're facing this new reality, they're risking 13,000 coal-dependent jobs, and this has been forecasted for the long-term decline for the region's economy in 2019. The coal-to-clean transition is creating opportunities to replace jobs and cut consumer costs while expanding the tax base in coal-dependent communities. Compared with 2018, coal consumption in the U.S. decreased nearly by 15%, and total renewable energy grew by 1%. And according to the EIA, in 2019, the U.S. renewable energy consumption surpasses coal for the first time in over 130 years. And while renewable energy jobs cannot directly replace every coal job, expanding wind and solar demand is creating new economic transition opportunities for coal power plants and mine workers, along with the communities in which they live. But despite this, fossil fuels still dominate the energy sector, specifically petroleum. The petroleum use has generally risen in the past few years. And petroleum is still currently the highest consumed source of energy in the U.S., surpassing coal's lead in 1950, and this is really mainly due to the transportation sector. The demand for petroleum in the U.S. is still very high. Many homes, businesses, and industries still rely on several petroleum-based fuel sources. And fossil fuels impact the environment in very negative ways. They cause land degradation, water pollution, air pollution, global warming, acid rain, ocean acidification. This harms the health of the environment, but not only the health of the environment, our own health as well. So, the renewable revolution. The clean energy economy has grown and continually grows, and the US is using energy much more efficiently than it used to. Renewables are on track to become a cheaper source of energy than fossil fuels, which is spurring a boom in clean energy development and jobs. But this, of course, still presents major economic challenges for renewable energy despite this opportunity. For one, capital costs. The upfront expense of building and installing solar and wind farms are very expensive. Like most renewables, solar and wind are exceedingly cheap to operate. Their fuel is free and maintenance is minimal. So the bulk of the expense comes from buildings and technologies. However, if costs over the lifespan of energy projects are taken into account, wind and utility-scale solar can be the least expensive energy-generating sources. As of 2017, the cost of wind power was $30 to $60 per megawatt hour, compared to coal power cost which is at least $60 per megawatt hour, and natural gas plants which costed $42 to $78 per megawatt hour. Also, the market entry. It's a difficult market to enter because the well-established nature of existing technologies presents a formidable barrier for renewable energy. Solar, wind, and other renewable resources need to compete with wealthier industries that benefit from existing infrastructure. However, with the increased government investment in clean energy in the form of subsidies, loan assistance, and research and development would help immensely. So the question is, what can we do? While clean energy is growing, renewable energy will still represents a small piece of the energy sector in today's society. Fossil fuels will eventually collapse, but the question is when? As green energy grows and continues to grow, it is essential that we as citizens support policies that unleash growth in wind and solar power and encourage public officials to develop strong plans to reduce carbon pollution. By paying more attention to policies, voting for people that support certain policies, and paying attention to what organizations are doing to expand green energy can expand more efficiently in a timely manner. And these are some of my sources. Thank you so much for listening.